what also really helps and that's a combination of the owner types, the owner tags that you can use, and the status tags. What those two little tags allow you to do is actually to create a journey backlog and to divide responsibilities based on that. So, a question that we often get is that, well, great, we've set up our framework. Now what? How are we going to divide this? Well, let's take our example that we've seen before already. So this awareness stage over here. And what you can see here is a lot of different journeys, but actually not all of these journeys have been mapped yet, because as we can see here, if we sort by status, we can see that, hey, there's actually a few journeys that we want to map, but they're not mapped yet, So you can actually use those status types to make a kind of, a backlog of, what are all the journeys? You can sort of pre-split up your whole customer experience into different journeys and then actually divide it already beforehand. So everyone knows, what journeys they're supposed to map. And you can use this overview to keep track of, how far are we already with mapping this whole stage, Here, for example, we can see that there's quite a few journeys that are still unmapped or have been planned to map, but not mapped yet. So, we know what we're supposed to do, but there are still some holes in our knowledge here that we can work on. So I think that's already quite an interesting view to have. But let's say that we're, some of these have been tagged by Jochem. So let's say, Jochem, you go into TheyDo and you want to know, hey, what journeys am I supposed to work on actually? Well, that becomes very easy, because what you can do is you can go to your full journey overview. So this is the journey repository, right? All the journeys that you create end up in this overview. And what you can do here is simply filter by, let's filter on Jochem. And let's see what journeys are still unmapped or which are planned. Well, actually, there's 5 journeys that you could start working on, because, they've been actually mapped and, they've actually been tagged according to their status. You see, hey, there's 2 that are actually planned. So these are the 2. If you want to know, hey, what am I responsible for? What should I start working on? This gives you this overview. And the cool thing is, this is not just for Jochem. This could be literally, you could do this to subdivide your whole customer experience with everyone in your organization. So everyone knows, what am I supposed to do? What do we know? What don't we know yet? And using those tags, you can create that overview across your whole organization to keep track of all that.
What I also did in TheyDo is this is one way of using it, but also, it's a little side note, but creating personal boards. That is something I know that came up quite a few times, but once you know what you're working on, you can also create these temporary boards where you say hey, my team or me personally is figuring out a bunch of these journeys. So I'm adding those mapped, unmapped, in progress, things I want to iterate on in one place, one board. So for visibility for everyone else. So that's also another way to quickly add a bunch of journeys that are assigned to me that I'm going to work on or currently busy with figuring out or improving.